Please note disclaimers at end of show.
Welcome to Creating Wealth with Jason Hartman. During this program, Jason is going to tell you some really exciting things that you probably haven't thought of before, and a new slant on investing. Fresh new approaches to America's best investment that will enable you to create more wealth and happiness than you ever thought possible. Jason is a genuine, self-made multimillionaire who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk. He's been a successful investor for 20 years and currently owns properties in 11 states and 17 cities. This program will help you follow in Jason's footsteps on the road to financial freedom. You really can do it. And now, here's your host, Jason Hartman, with the complete solution for real estate investors.
Welcome to show number 111. This is your host, Jason Hartman. Glad to have you here listening today. We have our interview with Rich Dad author Robert Kiyosaki coming up in just a few minutes after we chat for a little bit. I've got Brittany here with me.
Hi, Jason.
How you doing?
Listeners. I'm doing well, thanks.
Don't just say hi to me.
Yeah.
Got to say hi to them, too. I guess we'll start with you, Brittany, okay, since we just introduced you. Of course, you've heard Brittany on the show before, and she just visited her hometown, Phoenix, Arizona, and looked at some of our new property offerings out there, and it was hot, right?
It was 113 while I was driving around in the car.
But, you know, it's a dry heat.
It is dry, it is, but it's in triple digits, it's stinking hot, I'll say that.
That's for sure. But you know what? About, 5 million people live there. So, you know, what's funny when I talk, being in California, we're pretty much the only place in the country with sort of great weather, but I think it's kind of boring weather because I love storms. I love changing weather and I love changing of seasons. Now, you always like what you don't have, right? If you're dating a brunette, you want a blonde or vice versa. Okay, none of that.
Good example, right?
Yeah, well, I just threw that one in there. Everybody kind of wants what they don't have. So when I move, and I am going to move, I'll see how I like it. Maybe I'll hate it and I'll want this boring Southern California weather where it's always, 75, 80 degrees. Yeah, so, a lot of people live in these places. That's what's kind of funny in our when we have live educational events here in Southern California. All of the locals say things like, well, who would want to live in Houston? It's hot and muggy in the summer. Well, the fact is, 5 million people live there, folks, okay? The rest of the world doesn't live in this Southern California climate, And
a lot of the people are moving from Southern California to Phoenix.
That's for sure. And they're moving everywhere because California is kind of a failed state, in my opinion. It's a state with huge financial problems. I'm waiting for my tax refund. At least now I know that I'm not going to get an IOU, and the bank stopped honoring the IOUs when the state was issuing them. So this state is a disaster of epic proportions, chasing business out. And that's just the way it is. But here I am on another tangent. Brittany's pointing at the watch and saying, hurry it up. Brittany, what do you have to say?
All right. Like Jason mentioned, I visited the Phoenix market, some of the properties we have out there. And yes, it is a hot market, figuratively and literally.
Well, it's kind of hot now because prices have been slashed in half. And, as I've said on prior shows, we were recommending the Phoenix market about 4 years ago. I bought a property there. And it went way up, and then it came way down. So now we think we're not optimists, we are opportunists, and we think it's time to look at this market again.
Yes,
because the prices have become so low. The RV or rent-to-value ratios are really desirable now. This is the time to get in when all the dead bodies are in the streets. You pick up the great deals that way.
Yes, I was able to meet with one of our agents out there and view some of the properties that we have recommended on our site. Unfortunately for you, the listeners and the investors, about half of those properties that I viewed are now sold. And that was 2 days ago that I visited.
And like you said, the market is pretty hot. It's properties are moving out there again because it is literally now cheaper to buy than it is to rent in many of the Phoenix submarkets. And we're finding that in a lot of places. So that's, one of many good signs.
Mm-hmm. The relationship that we have with the company out there, they have many great properties. They rehab the properties, and they most of the time have a tenant in place by the time you purchase. These properties need little rehab. They're pretty new, most of them built since 2000. And one property that was just uploaded onto our site today by one of our agents there It is in Mesa, Arizona, a great growing area. It is only $107,000 is the listing price, renting for $950, and that's a pretty low rent, very conservative, in the lower 25% for that area. And it's cash flowing, 21% return on investment. Great house, good curb appeal, great income property. I'd go on our site and look at that right away.
Yeah, and so what Brittany is sharing with all of you listeners is the pro forma, the projection, which is on our website, so it's all detailed out at jasonhartman.com/properties. You click on the map of the United States, of which state you're interested in, and we have properties in many states, and then you'll see, you click on list of properties in this area once you select sort of the bullseye of the city.
Right. The bullseye, for some reason, for Phoenix is listing more over to the Apache Junction area, even though
just the way the
more,
Google Maps set it up.
Right.
But, yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't change that, but all the properties will be listed there anyway.
Yeah, they're in the Phoenix area. So you go and you click there, click list of properties in this area, and then you'll see a whole list of properties, well, whatever we have available at the time. Then when you click on a specific property, a one-page performance projection comes up, and that gives you the projected return on investment, before and after tax benefits, cash flow, projected rental rates, etc., square footage, all of the details. Okay? Go.
So anyway, that's a current house that we have available in that area, Mesa, Arizona. Go ahead, check it out. We'll have new inventory hopefully there soon. Like I said, these are going fast. Purchase now.
Okay, excellent. Good point. Yeah, the market, in many of these markets, the markets are really heating up. And if you've been taking in what the news media has been telling you in the last month or two, you'll see that buyers are out. I mean, again, we are not real bullish on the general overall economy, but in many of these markets, the bargain hunters are hitting the streets and they're buying stuff like crazy because they're sensing a bottom, or we're sensing very close to a bottom in many of these markets. And I interviewed Jillian Tett today. She's a award-winning journalist with the Financial Times, and she wrote a book called Fool's Gold, and we'll have that interview up soon. And, one of the things all of the experts are saying, remember, it's not just about price. Real estate or income property investment is a multidimensional asset class. The interest rates are so darn low now, and the opportunity you have is that the treasury auctions, China is not buying our debt like they used to. And what does that mean? That means we're going to see higher interest rates in the future because we will have to offer, as the dollar is being so debased, and again, you've heard this discussion on prior shows, we will have to offer higher yields to attract buyers for these bonds. And that means higher mortgage rates, folks. That's not like some crazy prediction. It's just a fact of supply and demand. So look for higher interest rates. You want to lock in while prices are low, rates are low. We're not saying we're expecting prices to rebound a whole bunch anytime soon, but part of the multidimensional nature of the investment is the mortgage, when you can lock in for 30 years at these low fixed rates. Okay, what else, Brittany? Anything else?
That about sums it up.
Okay, thank you so much for visiting there and giving us that update. Couple of other things before I want to talk about a few more properties in just a moment before we go to the interview with Robert Kiyosaki. Couple of events coming up. Of course, August 15th, our Creating Wealth in Today's Economy event here in Orange County, California. We've got the Masters Weekend on October 10th and 11th. That's our semi-annual event, so it's only twice a year. And be sure to come out for that. We'd love to have you. And I want to thank Richard Lillycrop, who has been on the show before. We interviewed him a long time ago. He is in England, and he is flying out for the Masters Weekend. So I think that's our furthest away visitors so far. We've had many people fly in from New York and, all across the U.S. before. But I believe, Richard, you have got the record. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate having you attend the event, and we want to see more of you. So I know some of you listeners in Australia, in various parts of Europe, Asia, the Middle East. Come on out. We'd love to have you for the Masters Weekend, and we'd love to meet you in person. Products. We have got many new products that we're producing, not the least of which is our new newsletter, the Financial Freedom Report, and our editor, Doug, has put together a great third issue for August.